Okay, I know these are not in season. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be over this beautiful and kind of seasonally inappropriate set, but it's okay. We can take this idea, this concept, this technique, and apply it to different art forms. Or you can wear this right now, you know, nobody says you can't wear bright neons in December. Okay, brighten up the day. So yeah. So this is my client, which is my mom. It's her previous set, the 3 weeks old. Super cute. I think I did a video on those. I believe so. So yeah, just scroll back a little and check them out. I'll try to leave a little thing in the top right corner, you know, them things that pop up on the video. I'm a YouTuber, I should know what it's called, but is it a card? Maybe so. Anyway, so I'm just showing you guys how I remove crystals. It's always a troubling process, but I like to take a thinner bit and kind of carve around the stones, which creates kind of a ditch. So you can put your nippers or whatever tool, you can kind of get up under the crystal and pop it off easier. These nippers are what I've been using lately. I talked about it before. I had this cool tool that I have not replaced. I lost it a while back. So I'm using these. These are old nippers. You never want to use these nippers on a client on their attack, cut, you know, dead skin off. You see how I'm holding my left thumb to protect her skin? Just in case it slips, it will hit my finger before it hits my client. So yeah, and then I get off what I can, and then I'm going back in with that bit, and I'm just again carving around the perimeter of those crystals again, and going back in and just trying to clip those off the very best that I can. It does take time and effort, but we like longevity in our nails and wear. It just makes it more difficult for it to come off. I had one client, the client with all those crystals. Oh my goodness. I'm like, girl, why couldn't you have lost a few? Sometimes I'm like, y'all could lose a few. So I am removing her previous design. I'm using this is the mellow yellow bit from Atwood Industries. I really enjoy this bit. It's aggressive but leaves a smooth finish. If you're familiar with like their mean green or red baron bit, it has some crazy teeth, and that's good for really intense debulking. And you can, you know, debulk with this bit as well. But this kind of, I think this is more ideal for taking off, like what I'm doing now, taking off a gel polish design top coat, you know, just simply filing that off. But I have many and plenty of times took down a set with this bit. You're just going to get there a bit faster with those aggressive bits. But again, I like this because it doesn't leave those big ditches because they have such a big teeth. When you use them, you could see that texture of those teeth ripping is not the ideal word, but taking off, filing down, shaving off that product. Anyways, so I'm using, this is the cutie patootie bit from my Elegance. My mind went blank. I use that double duty to kind of push back the eponychium and begin removing that cuticle. Then I'm going in with, I think this is called the itty bitty bit. This is a diamond bit. The cutie patootie was too, which means it kind of has that sanding band texture, but it is metal, a form of metal, so it doesn't have to be replaced, but it is fine for the natural nail, just on a low speed. Watch your pressure, your speed, and your angle. I try to hold this as parallel to the shape of the natural nail as possible, and just go in and remove that cuticle, which is the dead skin that grows on the nail plate. We want to make sure we remove that entirely. Otherwise, we're at risk for oils from the live skin running down. It's basically kind of a bridge that kind of siphons oil down there. It's two different things, but just trying to make it make sense. It creates a path for oils to get under your enhancement. Oils and enhancements don't play nice together. So we want to essentially break that bond by removing the cuticle from the nail plate, so we have no way for unneeded, unnecessary oils to get underneath our enhancement and cause lifting. Now I'm going in with this shaper bit. It's essentially a crosscut bit, just kind of smoothing out and blending out that fill line, just to make sure there's no line of demarcation. And then I spray with alcohol. I'm cleansing with a lint-free wipe. Once that's dry, I'm going in with Elegance Air Bond. It's an air cured primer. It reacts with the moisture in the air and essentially primes the air. It's great for people with, sweaty hands, clammy hands, people that have problems with lifting. It helps take what excessive moisture is there and turn it into primer adhesion, essentially. So I applied that. Then I applied Elegance's Tack. I'm not sure, did I show that clip? I applied Elegance's Tack, and then I went ahead and cured that in the light. So then I am filling the nail with Elegance's Ideal Pink, and this, I believe, is their in Builder. Yeah. Do they only have it in Builder? I know they have it in Jimmy Gel, Builder. I'm not sure what other viscosity. Anyways, so that's what I'm doing. This is just going to be the base for this beautiful design. I wanted something neutral, not too fuzzy, not too yellow. So this color actually worked perfectly and really let that design shine and stand out, especially with those neons. So you guys have seen me do fills a million times on the channel, but if you're new here, maybe not. I'm not taking for granted that there may be new people in the room, in the video. So I apply a slip layer, which is a layer that we leave wet. We apply it essentially like nail polish, as close to the skin as possible without touching it. Then I take a bigger bead and apply that and move it where I need. You see I'm using little light touches. This is all sped up, so it looks, again, more aggressive. You're probably like, it doesn't look that aggressive. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It looks way more aggressive than it is because it's sped up. So I'm using very, very light touches just to move that product where I want it. So again, this is our slip layer. We're applying it like polish, getting as close as possible. Just really close. And I'm just smoothing down the remainder of the nail. This helps everything just blend out. So I'm taking that bigger bead, applying it close to the cuticle area, just not right exactly on it, but a little tiny distance away, and then pushing up where it needs to go. Then I'm taking that product and walking it down. Once I get to where my enhancement is, because again, this is just a fill, then I just kind of blend it down. And then I take the tip of that brush and I'll move product where I see fit, and making sure my apex is right, making sure we don't have any kind of really stand out lumps and bumps. I'm trying to get as smooth as possible. Here's the thing. Builder gel is so much easier to file. It's great for hand health because it doesn't take much to get it right as far as once it's cured and filing. And look at this beautiful application. I was so proud of it. Look at the cuticle area, just how nice and clean it looks. So we're going, filing, and shaping it. I'm using this smooth top ceramic bit. It's a fine grit bit, safety bit. I'm using that just to smooth out the nails, get it nice and perfected. again, what I was saying previously was that this files easily, whether it's literal hand filing or with the e-file. It takes so much less work. You also want to be careful that you don't take it down too much too fast because it is easier to file. Yeah, again, I'm always forever going to irritate you by saying how good Builder Gel is, how amazing. I like using Polygel as well. I've been using it a little bit more lately. I have in the past many, many times. So I get questions like, oh, you don't use Polygel? I don't have a problem with it. I just haven't found like my Polygel, you know what I mean? Like the one that's for me. And I haven't really been looking. So that's just that. But there's great Builder Gel brands out there too. You guys know I primarily use like Elegance, quality brand, made here in the US. The literal lab is here. Chemists are here. It's a great quality product. So if you're able to get your hands on it, lightelegance.com. They sell to licensed professionals only. Yeah, and I believe you can also purchase from Skyline Beauty Supply, or I believe the Nail Hub. Put it down below if you know anywhere else besides like Elegance. And I know people in Canada have different websites. Not Canadian, not sure. I'm sorry. So I am using this Buffy bit, and this is from my Elegance, just to remove her dead skin. And just so you know, I had somebody in the comments before talking about how dry the skin. I mean, I've had it many a times. Dry the skin is, and you need some lotion. She needs some lotion or some oil, and it's like, first and foremost, why are you on here talking about that? Like, obviously you don't know, because if we introduce any type of oil and moisturizer into this equation, we can have lifting. I try to do quality, long-lasting nails. So if my clients, they're just gonna have to be ashy essentially. So, and you're just gonna have to get over it, because I'm not putting on moisturizer and oils to appease how you feel about their skin. So that's my stance on that, and we'll keep it classy for the rest of the video. So I'm just using that shaper bit, just going in and getting the cuticle area nice and flush, so it doesn't look, bulky. It looks like it's, kind of growing out, if you could grow out nails that look like this. But we want it to be a nice flush beginning at the cuticle area and kind of ramp up into our apex and the rest of the nail. So I'm just ensuring that it's smooth. I'm using that cutie patootie bit just to further smooth out that cuticle area and remove any product that may have slipped over and touched the skin, because it does happen. You can also take their preppy bit, which is like, it's essentially, it's the bit that I used to remove the stones in the beginning of the video. If you had any product touch the skin, you can use that bit to kind of get in there and remove it. So I use the that crosscut style bit, that shaper bit, not shaper, what is it called? Jesus, I think it is a shaper bit. And just to further smooth out the nail and essentially create a buff surface. Now I am dusting off the nails. I'm using cleanser just to make sure it's nice and smooth. So now I'm going straight in with our design. So we're going to start off by creating, in this design, this was inspired by somebody. I don't have the picture on hand. I couldn't find it. I have to contact my mother, see if she has it or where it's at. So if you know who did this, I'm not trying to say I came up with it or anything. People get offended about it, So don't think my magical mind came up with this. I had an inspiration pick. So we're going in and putting these finer, just white lines. And for this technique, for this part, you can use whatever your preferred white is, as long as it's fair. I recommend it being, very pigmented, so you only have to draw the lines once. There's some really great whites out there. And I'm just creating these kind of, I was about to say semicircles. I mean, kind of, right? Arches, curves, whatever they are. You see what's happening. And again, you can this technique, however you want to do it, you can do this with just straight lines, and there's just so many ways to take this concept and do it differently. So I'm just starting off with that. And then I did this in the summer, guys, and I'm doing this voiceover right before Christmas. So I know I had to experiment and see which top coat I'm going to use, because when we apply the pigment, I didn't want the pigment to be applied on these swirls. So I needed them to be top coated and locked in because I wanted them to stay white, because what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using white, but applying pigment over to create those neon colors. So I top coated. I ended up, as I can see, I'm going with a no wipe top coat. I tried a matte top coat. I think I know their top coat, one that I could wipe, I believe, and then just a no wipe top coat. So the no wipe top coat was the best option. I'm creating these thicker kind of semicircle arch things. So thicker than the first ones that I put down and kind of crossing over the previous lines that I drew, the skinnier ones. And the white that I'm using is a sample product, so guys, don't be mad at me. Now, Magic Gel makes a beautiful white. I think it's called Arctic White or something like that. It's a gel polish. I think it's number 65. I may be wrong. If you know, correct me down below. And I think that the Madam Glam white, let me tell you what you're looking for. You're looking for a white, and I had a hard time describing this in the splatter video. You're looking for a white that doesn't have very much of an inhibition layer or a sticky layer. That's what we're looking for. So we want it to have a little bit to hold on to the pigment, but not a ton. Little to no inhibition layer, essentially. So then I'm taking acrylic powders, and these are all Valentino Beauty Pure products, I think, except one color. But the rest of these are Valentino Beauty Pure acrylic powders. And you'll be like, Tabytha, especially if we didn't watch the previous video, why are you using acrylic powders? There's pigments. I know. The thing with pigments, for me, my opinion, is that they don't blend as well together. Meaning, essentially that. I think it's hard to blend, like, example, pink to orange. It just looks like there's more of a stark line. What I found with using acrylic powders for this is that because they're a little bit diluted, and this is me assuming, that because they're a little bit more diluted, they have, good, strong, pure pigment in there. But I think they blend easier because there is, clear acrylic powder mixed in there. So I think that's what makes it easier to blend. I told you guys in the previous video, I just went and made this up in my head. I had my previous client that wanted the splatter nail. She wanted it, but I couldn't find my actual pigments, my pure pigment powders to do that. And I really wanted to do the design for her. So I tested it out. I'm like, well, I have essentially these colors in acrylic powders. I tested them out and I was like, man, I like this so much better. So that's how I came up with this. And yeah, I think this will be my technique from now on with this kind of, art. So I apply these thicker arches. I go ahead and cure it in the lamp. I don't wipe it or anything because we need that it has like a slight tackiness, but not a noticeable, like you ever rub like the tacky layer of gel. And if you don't know, the tacky layer is the inhibition layer. That's what I'm talking about. Have you ever literally been able to wipe gel and you look at your finger and it looks wet with a tacky layer, that inhibition layer? We don't want that. We want something that just feels just a little tacky to the touch, but you can't really get any residue on your finger. But we need that slight tackiness to hold on to that pigment. But if it has too much of a tacky layer, it's going to make it nasty. It's going to make your brush nasty. And the brush that I'm using is from Wildflowers. I forgot what it's called. I got it many, many years ago. But you can use many and plenty of different brushes. I'm just showing you some of the colors that I'm using. I forgot to show some of the other ones. But again, these essentially are all Valentino Beauty Pure colors, except I think the neon green is another brand, I believe. So I'm just going in and blotting these colors on, as you can see. Nothing too magical or special. And you can see our previous little white line swirls are staying just white because they're top coated. And this is actually past the drawing the little swirls and arches, which weren't hard. It's a very simple design to do with a lot of impact. It's so beautiful, but it's fairly simple and you have a lot of payoff with it. And I also want to say this, because acrylic powders in the nail world are easier to find in many and plenty different colors. You could do this in a whole different color scheme, have more variety. You usually can't find the pure pigments that are, you can go into makeup stuff, so I'm not saying that without knowing that. But for nails, usually you can only find like the neon, very bright pigments, stackers, and neon pinks, orange, yellow, green, blue, blah, blah, blah. Well, this kind of opens the door for essentially using whatever acrylic powders you can get your hands on. Would I specifically buy entire acrylic powders for this to have on hand? Probably not. But I have them there. You guys know I don't do acrylic anymore, really, at all. I said really. I don't do it at all except 3D work. So it's a good way for me to use what I have on deck, but I don't know if it makes sense to go and like purchase them just in case you have to do stuff like this. But maybe so. I don't know. I can't rule your life and decisions. But like I said, because I'm curious, I want to try like other colors. You know what I mean? Like a darker red, olive green, stuff like that. I think would be cool. And I said it last time in the splatter video, but I haven't tried it yet. But I'm still curious. So yeah. And so with the literal aesthetic of this and the color story, of course, we went with neon, bright colors. And we're kind of doing 3 color blends. Not kind of, that's what we're doing. 3 color blends on each nail. So you see it went from that corally, kind of that bright coral color, the yellowish orange, and then the neon yellow. The orange yellow, the neon orange yellow. Then the next nail picks up where the previous nail left off. So you see the nail on the left, the last color was that darker blue. So the next nail is going to start with that darker blue and then finish on our color story. These are laid out. I encourage you to lay these out in color order, make them make sense. Pull out your color wheel if you're not familiar with color theory and you're not comfortable with color. Pull out a color wheel and do it like that. So we're just essentially blending. We picked about, I don't know how many colors in total there are here, but we're just continuing this color story from yellow, teal, blue, purple, pink. There's a darker pink, more purpley pink. There's essentially more cool tone pink, more warm tone pink. So we blend that cool tone pink to that warmer tone pink. And then we can go into a coral, then orange, yellow, orange, back to yellow, back to green, back to, you know what I'm saying? Just keeping on with that same little color story. And I think just visually it looks kind of more appealing how it just blends, color-wise through those colors. And each finger, the hands I started differently in their color story, so the fingers aren't the same. So I mean, that means what that means. So when I get them done, of course, I dust them off. You don't have to cure them or anything. Just ensure that the pigment is really pressed into that. And before you get out and do this on a client or on yourself, try it out on some sample nails. Try out if you have multiple whites and you're not sure what's going to work. Try this out on your nails on a tester nail first, like a swatch or something, before you just dive in and then it's like not working. So test it out first. Test out different top coats, different color whites. That's exactly what I did. And just make sure you have the formula down. And yeah, so I applied a no wipe top coat, and then I'm taking some nail cleanser. You can take some alcohol, and I dusted off as much pigment as I could, and then I'm going in and wiping that off with a wet lint-free wipe. I believe I'm using like Elegance's nail cleanser, and just really spreading that around and making sure I get that out the cuticle area, because we don't want it for picks. Then I'm using this kind of thinner brush, and that's wet with, I believe, alcohol, acetone, or cleanser of some sort. And I'm just getting into that cuticle area. It's that crevice, just to make sure it's nice and cute and clean. Again, especially for pictures, your client would probably be okay if they had a little bit in there. They probably wouldn't mind. But again, for picture's sake, we want to make sure it's all nice and cute. And then I applied cuticle oil, moisturized her hands, and this is our final look, you guys. I'm so happy with this set. And shout out, I'll try to put it down below or remember somebody say it, the person who inspired this set. Shout out to them. And I really appreciate you guys for watching. What's our emoji today? Like a little circle? These ain't even circles. I don't even know. A little rainbow? I don't know. Put something down below. Say something. Say hi, bye, something, Let's get some interaction going. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you have a good holiday season, and this will literally brighten up your holidays. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.